So, you've seen some Arma videos and you're interested in playing. But why the hell are there two Arma games everyone is playing right now? One is older but still has a huge player base somehow. The new one is called Reforger, but like, the fuck does that mean? Which one should you play in 2024 and 2025? Does it matter? And is either game worth buying right now? And what's with all these DLCs? Do I need them all? Or any of them? And isn't Arma 4 coming? I will answer all of these questions in this video. Let's start with Arma 3. What is it, and is it still playable in 2024 and even into 2025? The answer is a resounding, oh yeah. Arma 3 is a military sandbox shooter and simulator. Now, what the hell does that mean? The best way I can describe it is that Arma is the video game equivalent of dumping out all of your military micro machines and army men and creating your own battle space for hours. But you're an adult, and the game world is your sandbox to play in, either by yourself, against the AI, or with others in PvP or PvE, or both. The terrains you play on are huge, many of them hundreds of square kilometers in size, and are beautifully handcrafted to allow for all of the different spectrums of warfare. Additionally, there's a constant dynamic weather system and day-night cycle that can completely change the feel of the game, often in the same game session. Arma 3 is literally the everything game. Arma 3 launched towards the end of 2013, so at the time of this video's creation, that means it's about 11 years old. And that may sound a little dated, but what that means for you, the new or aspiring player, is that its community, and most importantly, the modding scene, has matured to the point that the mods largely keep the game alive. A quick look at the Steam Workshop and you'll see just how robust the modding community is. Not only that, after 11 years, there are still new mods being released daily, some of which completely change the game in a way that keeps everything fresh and alive. Now, why am I talking about mods before even explaining the main game? Well, because number one, Arma is renowned for its advanced modding community, and number two, players want to make sure that their purchase has longevity. Is this worth my money? Brother, I'll tell you right now, looking at my playtime, I can firmly say this one will last you a day or two. The base game launched with a good helping of beautifully created assets like vehicles, weapons, and equipment, and many of them still look amazing a decade later. Many players refer to these as vanilla assets, or basically anything made by Bohemia Interactive, but they didn't keep a good chunk of the player base engaged for long. Fast forward a year, and the DLCs would start to drop for the game, adding new weapons, land vehicles, aircraft, and many new mechanics like sling loading from helicopters and even firing from vehicles. One of the biggest additions to the mechanics was the Zeus update, which allowed for one or more players to act as an eye in the sky that can place friendly or enemy units, fire support, and even add objectives all on the fly while the game is running, allowing for infinite replayability. Speaking of infinitely replayable, a massive draw for a huge number of players is the 3D editor called Eden. This is what I consider the sandbox that you're dumping your toys into. It's as simple as dropping down a unit from the asset list, or a few units, giving them a couple move waypoints, and now you're partying. The computer AI is a point of contention for many people because while it looks like they're doing their best, they're also pretty dumb and can do some dumb things. It's not their fault, but this game engine is just calculating everything from every single bullet fired to a rabbit that just took a dump on the flight line. Getting the AI to do what you want can be a challenge, but when things work in Arma 3, oh boy, do they work, and it feels good. I mentioned spectrums of warfare earlier, and there's a lot of them. You can be infantry and outfit your guy with literally whatever gear you want, and I mean a lot of gear. Vanilla alone comes with a ton of gear, weapons, equipment, helmets, and such. You add mods into the mix, you're going to be playing Battlefield Barbie for hours, I promise. But you can also multi-crew vehicles like tanks, APCs, and light vehicles to include support vehicles if you're not the direct combat type. You can fly helicopters and fast jets, both with AI or with real people, which is honestly what I spend most of my playtime doing. You can even dive underwater and fulfill your Navy SEAL power fantasy. Did I mention boats? Yeah, there's some boats. Additionally, Arma 3 was suspiciously prophetic with drone warfare and how much that would change the face of war. UAVs and UGVs are also possibilities and add a tactical layer to the gameplay you just don't get in other games like this. The best way to experience the different spectrums is by playing the showcases, which are single-player missions designed by Bohemia that literally showcase a particular aspect of gameplay. You can also play the prologue and the Eastwind campaign to get the main story, which definitely has some twists and turns you won't be expecting. I highly suggest playing through some of these missions and maybe even the campaign unmodded. That way you can experience the game mechanics enough to know exactly what the workshop mods are either changing or improving upon. Now, multiplayer is a bit more involved. If you buy the base game and some DLCs and don't load any workshop mods, then you can go right in, open the server browser, and join pretty much any of the official Arma 3 servers with players in them and start having fun. However, if you download any mods and run them with your game, that's a different story. In order to join modded servers, you need to run exactly the mod list that servers are running, or you won't even be able to join. This is done to keep people from loading crazy mods that others in the server don't have. It'd be kind of whack if you were playing a World War II server and all of a sudden a fucking Space Marine shows up. Joining with your friends on your own server can be a bit tricky. It may require one of you to port forward, but if you follow any of the myriad of how-to guides out there, you can be up and running with your friends in no time. Arma 3 does so much, and there is a lot to learn here, I won't lie to you, but the reward for your time dedicated to learning all of the mechanics will yield you the most enjoyment you've gotten from a tactical shooter probably ever. And I'll do you one better, Arma 3 and its DLCs go on wild sales all the time, like 6 or 7 times a year. The Arma 3 Ultimate Bundle on sale will cost you less than any other AAA title out there and will give you thousands more hours of enjoyment out of it, I promise. Now, what the hell is Arma Reforger and what is it reforging exactly? Reforger gets its name from the annual exercises during the Cold War we'd put on with many of our European allies. Reforger, an acronym that stood for Return of Forces to Germany, were military exercises held to keep our joint forces ready in case the Soviets came thundering through the Fulda Gap and we had to defend Europe. Arma Reforger takes place in the late 1980s during the end of the Cold War, and the term Reforger takes on a double meaning for the game, as this is the first time in 20 years that Arma has run on a new engine. The Infusion engine, developed internally by Bohemia Interactive, is a completely modernized game engine built specifically for the new generation of Arma games. Additionally, it allows Bohemia Interactive to make new games developed on this engine cross-platform with consoles, marking the first time the Arma series has been played on a console. Reforger is essentially a testbed for many mechanics, features, and ideas, not just in gameplay, but across an entire platform that will eventually become the Arma 4 we will get in 2027. Gameplay-wise, Reforger's graphics are gorgeous. Its gunplay is honestly very tight, and the sound design is simply out of this world and makes for some of the most immersive gunfights I think I've ever experienced in a game. You should know that, as Reforger is set in 1989 during the Cold War, the focus here is taking warfare back to basics. GPS was still in its infancy and hadn't yet made it to every soldier in the field like we have it today, so you'll be relying on using a map, a compass, and your radio to navigate and communicate with friendly forces that are outside of your immediate voice chat range. This also allows Bohemia to focus more directly on combat, communications, and logistics, which are the primary focus areas in Reforger. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, then you'll probably really love it. Unplugging from all the high-tech devices and relying on yourself and your team is pretty fucking cool. The modding scene is also well underway, but as the Bohemia developers are still pumping out platform updates, mods can become outdated or downright broken, causing you to update them or remove them entirely. Luckily, the mods are handled inside the game itself, a stark contrast from the Steam Workshop method we've been using with Arma 3 the last 11 years. This makes updating mods a breeze, and it took Arma 3 quite a while to get to the ease of use it is at now. If this is the way forward, it will honestly take me a lot of getting used to, because I'm still partial to the Steam Workshop methodology of Arma 3, but that's a me problem, not a Reforger problem. I'm sure the hype and vigor we'll feel leading up to Arma 4's release will get me in the mood to change, at least I hope so. So to answer the two big questions at the beginning, which one should you play, and are they worth playing in 2024 and 2025? My opinion is that Arma 3 is the matured series entry that has had 11 years of continuous development, even to this day, and a community of mod developers that have ensured people will play Arma 3 well after even Arma 4 releases. The endless amount of fun you can have in the Eden editor creating literally whatever your imagination can think of is what sells the game for me and tens of thousands of others. Right now, Arma 3 is peak Arma, but that's only because it's had 11 years to cook. Now, my opinion on Arma Reforger is this. If you want to play and experience what the next main Arma series will be like as it matures and develops, and play it cross-platform with an entirely new community of players on console, then Arma Reforger is a great choice. While Reforger doesn't have the offline editor that Arma 3 does, and thus doesn't really have that same sandbox single-player feel, you can still use the Game Master mode to interact with and create your own fun, either alone or with friends. Eventually, as Reforger becomes more and more feature complete, updates for it will cease as the development team shifts fire to go all in on Arma 4's development. That said, Reforger is an outstanding choice with a vibrant, eager, and active community of players who just want to get together and have a great time stacking commies and blowing shit up. I honestly think you'll be happy with either entry, because this combination of gameplay options, community, unending mod support, and player-developer relationship is literally 1 in a million. And honestly, this shit should probably be studied. Well guys, thank you all again for your time. I hope this video answered any questions you may have on which Arma is right for you. And if you have more questions, hit me with them in the comments. I promise I read them all and I try to answer as many as I can. Thank you to those chisel-jawed patrons and channel members for helping me keep the light ons over here at the channel. I could not do it without you guys. Thank you all so much for your time and for watching, and I will see you in the next video.